Well, we're in the studio today with Mark Harris. Mark is one of the people that work here with us in our studios. He's really one of our key players. Thanks for being here with us today, Mark.
It's my pleasure, and I'm so happy that we can discuss this very important thing.
Yes, the important thing that we wanted to talk about, Mark, is I wanted to get your take on that Bible verse called John 3:16, which says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." In your own words, what do you think this verse actually means?
I do believe the way that Jesus shared this verse as he presented it to Nicodemus, after explaining to Nicodemus a little bit about the spiritual birth and the physical birth. To me, this summarized everything. It's all put in this little verse, the whole story of Jesus and God. Well, I wouldn't say God, but of Jesus, because he simply told him that was a reason for Jesus and the purpose and what the result is if you receive Jesus. It's just there in such a simple nutshell, and it's probably the most well-quoted, memorized, written verse of all the verses in all of the 66 books.
Well, in that verse it says that if you receive Jesus, whosoever believeth in him, if you believe in Jesus, in a sense, like to believe in something is to drink it in, to really accept it and let it be part of your life, that if you do that, you would get everlasting life. Everlasting is quite a big concept, because everlasting is something that never stops. It never finishes. It never dies. Do you think that's what it actually means, everlasting, forever and ever?
Well, I think you hit it. You hit the point. Everlasting is beyond time, because time is lasting, and this is beyond time. So that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: if somebody's out there listening to this little word that we're having here right now, this little conversation, and they don't even believe in the existence of God, what would you say to that person in relation to this verse to help them understand that there is a God, even if they don't believe there is one? What would you say to that person to try to convince them? If you're an atheist right now listening to this, here's what my friend Mark would say to you to get you to believe this Bible verse.
I would simply share that whosoever, that's anybody, young or old, it doesn't matter, whatever their background is, whatever their religion, and to believe and to drink it in is, it just takes a little stepping out. It takes a little bit of receiving, and, you can never really understand it.
But I think some people out there might be scared to actually stop for a moment and look up and say, like I say, look up, because that's where most people think God lives, but he's all around us. Just to stop for a moment. Some people are just scared to say, God, if you're real, show me. Jesus, if you're real, come into my life. What scares people away? Why would somebody be scared just to say those words?
It's a battle. It's a battle royale that goes on. There's spiritual powers that are trying to get control. And it's a battle. It happened to me when I was 20 years old, when I was presented with that verse and with the opportunity of receiving. And what won me, what got me, because I was not brought up with religion. I was brought up just in a business kind of situation.
Did you grow up in would you say an atheistic family, actually, or?
Well, yes, because my daddy would love to share. He had a big chart in the wall showing how he began, 4.5 billion years ago, how life began and all.
Well, when I was going to school, I think they said when I was a child, I think the science teacher said the Earth was only 100 million years old. But it changed along, I don't know how many, I think it's up to a few trillion now, right? And someday I think the scientists might get their thing together, though, and actually tell us, finally settle on every generation seems to be making that number a little bit longer.
So to answer your question, I would have to say that I have met all types, of course, in my years of sharing, God and sharing Jesus with people. And one thing that I've used that's been very fruitful in reaching people is I challenge them to just ask sincerely, ask for Jesus' help, ask to be shown the truth that you want to know. There's a promise that I just love that Jesus promises, if you seek, you shall find. If you're hungry, the Lord's going to answer you. That's what he did to me, because I never heard the gospel. I never heard this verse until I was 20 years old.
So here's a message to you. If you are an atheist and listening to this, you cannot challenge. Here's what I feel, Mark. If the atheist out there, if you're an atheist, you cannot say to us that there is no God until after you ask Jesus to come into your life, because you can only actually be able to say that if you tried to do what Jesus is asking, and that is, if he's knocking at the door, like it says in Revelation chapter 3, verse 20,
yes.
Behold, I stand
Yes.
at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him. So unless you open that door to your heart and let Jesus come in, at least you have tried to do that. I don't think you as an atheist have the right to tell me that there is no God. And that's just the way I feel about it. You might not think that's fair, but I do. I doubted the existence of God. I did that, and it changed my life.
Well,
so I don't think somebody, if they are like Ronnie out there, Ronnie Reagan Jr., who says he's going to laugh his way to hell, all the way to hell after he dies. I don't think he has the right to say that until he stops and sincerely asks Jesus to come into his life. Then after doing that, I'd be more willing to listen to his complaints about the non-existence of God, or complaints that we talk about God and he doesn't. So that's my challenge to any atheists out there listening to this right now. Any final words before we wrap this up?
I would
Mark?
agree with you. Let's give it a test. All you have to be is like a child. All you have to do is reach out like a child. Doesn't matter understanding, trying to analyze it. None of that. Just give it a try. Take a taste. And like you said, I challenge you.
Well, hey, it's always fun talking to you, Mark. And if this is the first time you've listened to one of our podcasts, please go to our YouTube channel. It's called The Bible for You. The reason we called it The Bible for You, it is because the Bible is for you. And if you like what you see on there, please subscribe. If you don't like what you see, please subscribe anyway. We'd love for you to subscribe. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.